welcome to this review again of another movie. So I'm just going to start off by saying a cop of honour, a convicted criminal, a gang of many, and no chance in hell, and that is Assault on Precinct 13. This is a John Carpenter movie, and it was 1976. It's another classic movie. John Carpenter, that guy can take a can of beans and win MasterChef with it. He literally just knows how to make a movie with not a lot of budget, but he can still make miracles. I personally love his movies. I think they're absolutely brilliant. This one, it's got everything. It's got the music, and it's got the cast, and it's got hardly any script in it, which makes the movie even better because it doesn't need it, this movie. So this is my DVD version of it. So there you have it. So Assault on Precinct 13. I don't know if any of you have seen this movie already. You probably have loads of times. It's a great movie. So from John Carpenter, the acclaimed director of Halloween, Escape from New York, comes one of the ultimate genre-defying moments in modern cinema. A lean, mean masterpiece, bursting with furious energy and base terror. Assault on Precinct 13 mixes the moral codes of the classic western, Rio Bravo, and the kinetic camera work of Night of the Living Dead to provide a breathtaking and ruthless ride through the dangerous streets of 1970s LA. When a vicious gang murder a young girl in cold blood, her vengeful father incites full-blown conflict by shooting one of the killers, before fleeing to the soon-to-be-closed Precinct 13, where only one officer, two secretaries and a handful of criminals remain. Faced by an enemy that is cold, brutal and terrifyingly merciless, Lieutenant Bishop, Austin Stoker, and the others are isolated as night falls and the attack begins. With a minimal script that allows the action to flourish and a now cult score composed by Carpenter himself, Assault on Precinct 13 still incites a level of fear in the viewer that's rarely matched, making the film a true classic. And that's a very good write-up, guys, because it really is a great movie. So basically, break down the story a little bit more without the spoilers. Most people have seen this already, so if you're not interested in spoilers and you do just want to watch the film, you can back out. So the cops in LA, are basically South Central LA, are hunting down a stolen weapons shipment. And at the beginning of the movie, you see a gang. Now I think the gang was called Street Thunder, if I remember right. There's something like that. They had a Street Thunder or something like that. They had this cache of weapons. And at the beginning, you see the police obviously doing a raid. That famous scene at the beginning where they're in the alleyway and the police are above the alleyway with the high ground. And they kind of shout, don't they, "Stop police." And then next minute, it's just all out firing. And they'll shoot all of them. And basically that's how it begins. And then the gang, the leaders, like the warlords, are seen in this squat doing like what seems like a strange blood ritual of some sort, where they swear an oath to some sort of oath to honour the deaths of their fallen comrades. So they then set out in the car. This is the only bit that I didn't really quite understand, because I thought they would just come straight after cops, because obviously cops, but for some reason they decide that their vengeance is going to be anybody. And it's a controversial scene in the film where it was quite like shocking, because you don't expect it, but he ends up shooting this little girl, and this ice cream man ends up shooting back, and the dad gets hold of the gun and shoots one of them dead. And they then pursue him on the streets. And that's where you first see Austin Stoker, who's Lieutenant Bishop. And he plays a great part in this movie. He's like so cool, calm and collective. Kind of like how Sidney Poitier was in the heat of the night. he was just a really cool, laid-back guy, you know, heading to his new assignment. His first assignment is to basically babysit a skeleton crew at the closing down Precinct 13. So Precinct 13 police station is actually closing down. So when he gets there, he gets quite a cold reception of the station captain, and you can tell he's not kind of really wanted. It's probably the environment of the time. And basically he's told that anyone that goes there or anything that comes in needs to send it to the news station, which is around the corner. So just rerouting calls or rerouting people. Then the police all pack up and go, and it's just him for the night. I think it's like the secretary, an old sort of sergeant who's, again, not very receptive of the lieutenant being there. And that's that part of the movie. Basically, it ends up being that he's monitoring this police station for the evening, which is quite good. But obviously, he sees it as being a bit of a low assignment, and it's going to be a boring night for him. But little does he know what's on its way. As I say, he does some fantastic acting, and the area where this is set in South Central LA in the 70s is it looks like just a depressing, crime-ridden area, and you can see it looks really run down. There's a lot of scenes where you see Bishop riding around on his way to his job, just looking at some of these streets and people just sitting outside, and the depression and everything really captures the mood, especially with the music. John Carpenter's music, it's got that eerie sort of beat. He always has that eerie beat, which is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so at the same time, there's some prisoners being escorted to a prison on the way, and one of the prisoners becomes quite violently ill, and they're redirected to the first nearest police station, which is Precinct 13. And obviously, at that point, there's nothing there. There's no... So Bishop tries to explain to the character who was played by Charles Cyphers, another Carpenter regular. Charles Cyphers was a really good actor. He played Laurie Strode's father in Halloween, and he was also in The Fog as the weatherman. He was a regular with the John Carpenter movies, and he's just a very good actor. He explains to Bishop that they've come to the nearest station, they need to get something going. So he reluctantly agrees to allow them in, these prisoners, and the officers looking after them. And one of the prisoners is the great Tony Burton as well, who's obviously, he was brilliant. I like Tony Burton. I used to think he played a good he played a good part in, I always remember him from Stir Crazy, and he's the one who Gene Wilder slaps his head, and then he does he gets up, doesn't he? And he says, "Oh, did you get the fly?" And Gene Wilder's like, "No," and he says, "Oh, there it is, right on the end of your nose," and he throws a punch and punches the big geezer, doesn't he? And it ends up being like a standoff. So I always remember him from being in like 80s TV shows and stuff like that, and playing a bad guy or sometimes a good guy. But yeah, he was a good actor. I really liked him. Yeah, there was loads of different actors around. There's another guy called Darwin Joston, who was another prisoner, and he plays Napoleon and Wilson, and he's fantastic. Again, he doesn't speak hardly at all, and literally his only line through the film is, "Have you got a smoke?" And he's really good because he's just like a menacing character. So basically, they end up at this prison. It's getting crazy for Bishop because he don't know what to do. Next minute, this bloke runs in. It doesn't speak, just collapses, and it's the father of the daughter who's been shot. They can't quite work out what's going on. There's a bit of a ruckus, and I think it's the sergeant. I think he goes outside to see what's going on, or uses car radio or something, because the station goes dead. All the calls, they can't make any calls, they can't do anything. And the next bit, he just gets levelled with a silenced weapon out on the grass. And they're looking at him out the window, and that's when the film just picks up. It takes off, because this gang, with all their automatic weapons and stuff, just literally start sieging Precinct 13. So it transpires that they all have to work together to survive the night, and that includes the prisoners. So Lieutenant Bishop has to make an agreement with Napoleon that they'll protect the station together, and they want to, because they've basically realised that this gang has no loyalty to anybody. They don't care about the prisoners and they don't care about the police, so they're going to kill anybody. So they realise they've got to work together, and that's when it goes into all action mode. The film is just all action after that, and it is a really good film. It's one of those films where you'll think like, blimey, it's just non-stop shooting, and you know, it's really great. And there's a scene where like the gang is trying to get into the station, and there's just shots going off, and they retreat. But then it's really eerie. It's like when they look out the windows, all the bodies are gone. They've hid all the bodies, like nothing ever happened. And even Lieutenant Bishop, he's got a great line there where he says, "This is a police station. This has got to be a joke. You know, it's got to be sort of a joke. You know, how do you make it look like you're not attacking a police station?" Because they, like I say, a lot of weapons are silenced, and it is a good film. It really is one of the Carpenter classics, especially the music. Yeah, it's the scene at the beginning, like I say, when the little girl gets shot. It's quite an odd scene because they're just literally menacingly driving around, looking for a victim, and finally they see one. So yeah, and like I say, the dad never really speaks after that, so there's no communication with him. There's no figuring out what happened or how it went. Just literally, it then becomes just a we've got to survive the night sort of a movie. But yeah, I mean, Austin Stoker, he makes the movie. He's brilliant in this movie, you know, because a lot of the characters, like the bigger characters in this movie, they get killed off quite quickly. So it's quite unbelievable. But the very end scene in the basement, where because it ends up fighting through the police station, goes all the way to the basement, is brilliant. And like literally, they're fighting for their lives in this basement and trying to make makeshift weapons and trying to just survive the night. It is a great John Carpenter movie. As I've said, John Carpenter movies are absolutely fantastic. I mean, I don't think he does bad ones, really. I like all his films, even some of the ones that are not so well known. But yeah, this is definitely worth a watch, guys. I like this film. What did you all think of the remake? I thought, to be honest, looking at the remake, if you didn't compare it to the original and done it as just a standalone movie, it was quite good. You know, it had Ethan Hawke and Gabriel Byrne, and you know, it had quite a big cast. It Lawrence Fishburne, do you know what I mean? So it was a good movie, but it didn't have the same. I think this one had the time period to make it right, because the time period of this one, it was grim. You know, looking at the streets, it was really grim, wasn't it? And I think a lot of the movies, especially in the 60s, 70s and 80s, played off that, didn't they? That grim sort of opening, like the opening of the original Equalizer, Dirty Harry walking on the street, Dirty Harry patrolling the streets at night, and you know, just how grim it could be around this time period. And you know, I think it really captured that. But the beautiful thing about this movie I found was that it was a lack of script. And as I say, it didn't need it. It was one of those ones that was like, you just had to watch it, because it was just, after a certain point, it's just all action. And it's a good old movie, especially the music. So yeah, what I would suggest, guys, this is one of my original DVDs from my collection. Grab a copy of this, or watch it on streaming or whatever, because it's still available now, you know, and watch it, because it's brilliant. It's just one of those old movies where you think, how was John Carpenter able to make these movies with you know, virtually no budget, and just make them look great? And they were just spot on, weren't they? So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you on the next one. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.